This is your host, Dub FFG, your fantasy football coach strategies. How's it going today? Today, we're going to look at week 12. We're getting closer and closer to playoff time, so let's get to it. First up, we're looking at Stefon Diggs versus the Eagles. Now, this is going to be a big matchup. The Eagles are coming down this stretch where they have a lot of tough opponents, and this is one of them. Now, Stefon Diggs and the Bills, they're finding themselves, and they're going to have a good test to prove it against the Eagles. The Eagles are 32nd versus wide receivers, and that's been their weakness. We've talked about it all season. Although the Eagles only have one loss for the season, but their weakness is still their secondary, and Stefon Diggs should eat big. He should definitely have some good fantasy numbers for this week. Stefon Diggs, he should eat big. Next up, we're looking at Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson is facing the Chargers. The Chargers are ranked 31st in fantasy versus the quarterbacks, so expect high production from Lamar Jackson. You should expect that anyway, but again, this is going to be a good matchup. 8:20 matchup on Sunday night, so Chargers and Ravens should be a great game for fantasy production, and Lamar Jackson should eat big. Next up, Josh Allen. As we mentioned with Stefon, they're playing the Eagles. In the Eagles defense, particularly that secondary, is one of the worst. Eagles are 29th ranked in fantasy versus quarterbacks, and expect Bills to win the game outright. Yes, look for the upset if there is such a thing in this game. The Bills should win it outright. Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs should be a good combo, a good stat combo for this week. So definitely expect big things from Josh Allen. Next up, we're looking at Michael Pitman Jr. Now, he's playing against the Bucs this week. So the Bucs, one of the worst defenses against wide receivers according to fantasy. They're 30th. And Michael Pitman Jr. has gotten consistent fantasy numbers this year. So look for the same. Michael Pitman Jr. should eat big. Here's a word from our sponsors. Question: is your NFL team winning the Super Bowl this season? If so, then you better get your new gear for the new season. NFL Shop is providing with your new favorite team's apparel this season. Use the link below or scan the QR code to see a huge inventory of NFL teams' apparel. Discount codes will be available throughout the season, so use the link. Shop now. Next up, David Njoku. Now, he's playing the Broncos this week. The Browns, again, they've lost their quarterback, so they have a third-string quarterback actually playing in that position, but their defense is good. So that defense should keep them in pretty good range or pretty good situations from here on out. And the Broncos are weak against the tight ends. So David Njoku, like many, should eat well against the Broncos D. Next up, we're looking at a Turkey Day stud, and that will be CeeDee Lamb. They're playing the Washington Commanders. So CeeDee has been consistent lately. He's been hot. And Washington is not a good team, not a good defense. A great front four, but defense overall, they're not there. Even though this is a divisional game, look for the Cowboys, in particular CeeDee Lamb, to have big numbers. If you have skilled players for the Cowboys, of course, the Dax, the Tony Pollards, the Ferguson at tight end, play them. But CeeDee should be their biggest eater in week 12. From the IDP side, we're looking at Fred Warner. They're playing Seattle. Again, a divisional game, so don't be surprised if that's a tough game for the 49ers or if Seattle just wins outright. But it's going to be somewhat difficult because Geno is somewhat injured, is somewhat questionable if he will play or not. So you're looking at a backup quarterback. If so, then that will go well for the 49ers defense. Fred Warner is one of the consistent fantasy football defensive players. So look for Fred Warner to eat big. Next up, the Miami Dolphins defense. Now, they're playing against the Jets. This is a Friday game, a Black Friday game, first of its kind. The Jets are starting a third-string quarterback against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are currently their division leader, and they're looking to hold on to that. And they should. Again, versus a third-string quarterback, the Dolphins defense in this game definitely can get some turnovers and make the Jets pay. So look for the Dolphins, particularly their defense, to eat big. Week 12 overall projections. Well, first let's look at week 11. We had a 100% success rate with our picks. So again, we're kind of hot right now, so you might want to stay with our picks. So take heed to what we're saying. But week 12 is about your aim, or I aim. So we're now 3 weeks before the playoffs, including this game. You should already have everybody in place. Your core team is already in place. There should be no doubt to that. But mild adjustments is going to help you with your self-importance of alignment. This is the week where it's probably you determine, do you need to sacrifice another big name to make a final trade before these trade deadlines come about? If so, do that. If not, stay with your core, focus on your alignment, focus on your opponents, focus on your lineup against your opponents and how you can maximize that. That's the norm, but again, you're keening in more and more as we edge closer and closer to the playoffs, because you're going to create your own destiny, and that is stay the course, chest mind, poker face. Week 12, aim high. This is Dub FFG, your fantasy football GOAT strategies. Till next time, we'll see you soon. When you look in the mirror, do you see a GOAT? Are you the best that fantasy football has to offer? If so, then wear it on your chest. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies has new arrivals for the new fantasy season. See the link in the description or scan the QR code. Pick up your gear now. Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies.